Hi guys, it's Amy and you have found Amy Loves Crochet. Thank you so much for your time. I do appreciate you clicking on my videos. I wanted to share with you today what I've done with these two types of yarn. One of the reasons that I started my YouTube channel was because I had yarn and I didn't know what to do with it. So I would search YouTube to see what somebody else did with it. And I wasn't always finding something. I wasn't always finding what I was looking for. So I decided to create that type of content. And so what I've got are two yarns that I purchased at one of the Hobby Lobby clearance sales. And a lot of times we can only get 2 or 3 skeins from, you know, certain colors from those clearance sales. It's just what they get. You get what you get and you don't throw a fit. So I thought that these were two great patterns to put together, or two projects to share with you, because I used up just about all of the yarn that I had for it. So the first one is a yarn that I have never worked with before, so I was really happy to find it, and I'm pleased with myself because I didn't gobble everything up. On this particular Hobby Lobby trip, there were more skeins of this that I did not pick up. I just picked up 2 skeins. It's called Roll With It Melange from Red Heart, and each of the skeins is, they actually come as a cake, are 529 ounces, which is 389 yards. It is 100% acrylic, and it's a 4-weight. I'll go ahead and show you the back of it here. If you've got a yarn similar to this, if you don't have this particular one, here's its specs for you to read. And so I thought it was just a gorgeous colorway. This one is called Catwalk, and the pattern that I found is by Creations by Courtney, and she used a Big Twist Yarns gradient. So I didn't have that. What I had was this, and we used an I 5.5 millimeter hook. So I was very, very excited. It calls for 580 to 600 yards, and I used both of my cakes, and I have this little bit left. So what did I say, 389 yards, so whatever, minus that, 2 of those minus that. But it was something that I had kind of been looking for and wasn't sure how to find. It is this great on the bias wrap. It's just a rectangle wrap, and it's got shells. Ta-da! Look how pretty that colorway is. Oh, it looks a lot, but you can see it a lot better like this. So, you know, I was kind of searching for one of these that's not maybe a shawl, but like a little bit of a wrap. You can do a whole lot with it. You can wrap it up around your head. You can, you know, make it just a scarf, kind of get it nice and chunky in there. It is gorgeous. Let me get close to the, and you know me always showing you upside down. I got to get which way is right. But as you can see, it's just a cluster of 5 double crochets. And then you get some chains in there, and you just work on the bias, and I absolutely love it. So here's the edge, just a double crochet row border, and then it's just on the diagonal like that. It's called the bias. So look how pretty. I love that. So if you've worked with this before, let me know down in the comments how you felt about it, because it was the first time I worked with it. I like it. I love the colorway, and I was really pleased with it. So let me know if you've worked with it before, what you thought. And of course I will link the pattern down below. Nothing special to tell you in there. Very easy, very, very easy. I worked it up very quickly. So look how pretty. I love that. Okay, so then the second one, so that was perfect use of 2 cakes. And again, there were more on the shelf. And when I do my clearance runs at the Hobby Lobby clearance, I make like 3 different rounds. You know, I go through and I look through first, and then I make sure that I didn't miss anything, and then one more time, did I see anything new? So I walked through the first time, and I grabbed just the 2, and I walked through the second time, and the other 2 were still sitting there, and I walked through on the third time, and somebody else had taken them. So it kind of made me happy to share the wealth, because it was such a pretty yarn, and I didn't really know what I was going to do with it, so I didn't want to gobble up, like I said, all 4 cakes. So I was happy to share that one. So here's a little update on what I did with my Pickle Jar Refill. I found this at the Goodwill. There was one a jar even bigger than this, but this cost me $7 at the Goodwill, and I thought it was going to be too big. When I was in the car talking on my way home with my husband, I was talking about separating the sections of the jar to be different fibers, so that I could collect scraps, you know, little mini scraps of different fibers. I don't know, whatever. But then I come to find out, I get home and it barely all fits. So I tried to lay it down so that you could see, you know, each one, so that I could kind of turn it as I wanted to get a different view of stuff. And initially I wanted one big enough that I could just reach in and kind of dig around a little bit, but you know, one with a little bit more space. I really like this one right here. But anyway, so those of you that were wondering what I did with my pickle jar refill, I just got this for $7 at the Goodwill. I kind of was thinking about a long, tall, skinny one, like at the candy stores, something like that, because I'm a kid at heart and I love candy jars. So that was my update on my pickle jar refill. So the second yarn that I wanted to show you was the Sugar Wheel by Yarn Bee. Its colorway on this one is called Honey Bunny Bun. Honey Bunny Bun. It's 355 yards of 4 worsted weight yarn. Let me turn that down just a little bit. So if you've got something similar, you can follow along. And so this one actually came from a couple of sales ago, and so I had these and they were just so gorgeous. I almost started my 4th cake and decided not to, so it's messed up, but it is still a 4th cake, a full cake I mean. This was the outside color, this dark gray, but you can see what a beautiful color palette that is. I absolutely love it, and the yarn is awesome. It's solid and nice little twisty. You can see it really, really nicely there. And I just wanted to make the right thing, and I didn't know what to do, and I didn't know what to do. Well, then this year's, or you know, subsequent Hobby Lobbies, I got these other colors, and so I was like, okay, I'm gonna need to start doing some moving around here pretty soon. Let's get to a smaller cubby with my sugar wheels. So what I did was I'm into 3 of them. So this was a 4th. So if you only got 3, then you'll have enough to work on this. And how much I used were 480 grams. So these are 199 grams. So 3 cakes, I had 600 and I only used 480. So I've got some left, and I don't necessarily color control except when I'm doing something like this. If I'm going to start a new cake, I pull out the center enough to where I'm going to start a fresh color, so I have a full repeat of that color before it changes to the next color. So in this case, I've got quite a bit of that peach as my leftover, but the pattern I did was a corner to corner granny, and if you know me, you know I love a corner to corner, and I like a granny too. It's got its purposes. And so I wanted to do something that would just show the color. I didn't want to change out the color. And so like I said, I only did when it was going to start a new cake. And so I've got a lot of that peachy kind of color seemed to be the main one for my cakes that I purchased. But so yeah, so this is 480 grams. And oh, I didn't take my measurements here. Let me grab that real quick. So it is a great little lap blanket, and my width is about 29 and a half, almost 30 by about 49 or 50. So it's a great size. I like that I didn't worry about how many colors each row was going to become, you know what I mean? Like how much, if this green on this one is more than the green on this one, because there's 4 rows and there's 6 rows or whatever. You know, a lot of times you color plan the stripe size so that they're all the same stripe size. But as you understand with math, as you get to the longer rows, you're going to use up more of the color. So all I did was put a simple border of, now to do this, so what I did was 2 single crochets and then a chain, and then 2 single crochets in a chain, because the sides on this, sometimes you do 3 chains, and then sometimes you do an extended double crochet. So that is where you pull through just 1 loop first, and then you pull through 2, pull through 2. And so it's a little bit longer than a double crochet. I tried to do 3 in each of them and skip the join section, and it was kind of too much, so I went down to 2, and then I do a chain over where that join section, where you see that. Now, the reason that this cake is messed up is because I wanted to finish on the green, but I really don't think that I'm going to have enough. And so I had already snipped it to start and then second guessed myself, so I'm just leaving it as it is. If you wanted to use, I know I definitely have more of that peach that I could go around the edges with, but I don't want to. I like it just how it is with the simple gray around the edge. And then I can leave that peach up here to go with, you know, maybe some of this mustardy color needs a little bit more peach to go with it. So we'll see what ends up with the scraps out of those. But yeah, so if you've got any of that sugar wheel, if you've got 3 cakes, you can certainly do this and maybe even add to your border if you'd like to. I thought those were some great uses of my Hobby Lobby clearance yarn, because like I say, sometimes you only get 2 or 3 cakes or skeins and you're not quite sure what to do with it. And so I'm happy to provide that answer to some of you who maybe have that yarn and didn't know what to do. So thank you so much for sitting with me today. I always appreciate your time, very sincerely. Thank you very much. I hope you have a wonderfully blessed day, and please come back and see me again. Thank you. Bye-bye.